Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Daily Eye Show. I'm Salim Asgarally, and this is
Veenaa Bakshi.
And we are going to talk about some things of great interest to you today. What could that be, Veena?
Food.
Yes, it's food. You've heard of roti, kapda, or makan? Yeah? Roti comes first. It's what we
Always.
all probably work so hard for, to get food on the table.
Yes.
So I have a question. Do we eat to live or do we live to eat? What is it that we are up to? And we are going to find out on this show and on this episode what exactly does food really mean to us? Where did this entire food thing really start off from? I think it started, from the time, of course, since we were on this planet, we needed food. Remember, Adam needed the apple and so on and so forth. So we started off as hunter-gatherers.
And we still are hunter-gatherers.
Not as much as we were in our primitive stages of existence.
I think the hunting has changed form. Earlier it was actually hunting as in spear hunting, arrows, bows.
Yes.
Now the hunting is more for jobs, work, which eventually is, famous saying, papi pet ke liye.
Bilkul. So priorities have changed. We have now been moved away from the role of actually producing our own food, gathering our own food, to going out there in the market and buying it so that someone can sell it to us.
Yes.
Yeah. So in those days when we were hunter-gatherers, we picked wild berries, fruits, roots, went out and killed, hunted for game, and that became the meat. And it was very healthy.
Yeah, but just as a fun thing, just as a complete fun thing. Can you imagine somebody goes, plucks a plant, plucks this gorgeous looking red fruit from a tree, eats it and goes, oh, dumb. The rest of the tribe goes, no touch fruit.
And see what happened to Adam.
Poor
Thanks to the bite of the apple, and that's why we are all here. They did a study in Africa where there still are a couple of tribes that are hunter-gatherers.
Yes.
They do not go out there and buy their food. They do not go out there and grow their food.
Yep.
They just gather. And what they found, Veena, was really interesting. That tribe has no disease, only natural death. So they are a disease-free tribe, primarily because they don't eat what we eat, which is a lot of processed food.
When we say food is an addiction,
Yes.
it really is an addiction. The sugar and salt in a lot of processed food is what makes you go back to it.
Absolutely.
For instance, I love peanut butter.
Yes.
Okay, so I decided at some stage to learn how to make peanut butter at home. It just never tasted the same. And then when you look at the package, you realize that what all must have gone into that, the amount of salt, the amount of sugar, if there's anything else in that food, which
Yes.
obviously makes it tastier, for me to keep going back and buying that one particular brand of peanut butter. But if I just buy peanuts and salted peanuts or anything and try and make it at home, it's tasty, but it's not the same. So what you rightly talk about is processed food. It's very addictive.
The other thing is, we are all now subjected to something called genetically modified food, where the seed is genetically modified,
Yes.
the fruit is genetically engineered.
Yes.
So there is something that's lost over there, which is taste. Second thing which is lost is nutrition.
Yes.
And the worst part of the whole thing is that foods which are genetically engineered do not need any form of labeling to tell you that they were genetically engineered. So you as a consumer don't know.
Genetically engineered food is actually cloning the original without its elements.
True.
And what genetically engineered food has done, Salim, is it has created a lot of problems within people in terms of digestion.
Yes.
Okay, and a lot of intolerances and allergies have sprung up thanks to genetically modified food. Okay, as you are aware that I'm a celiac.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm an extreme case of being gluten intolerant. And there is the possibility, medically, that I and millions around the world like me have become gluten intolerant because of genetically modified wheat.
Absolutely.
There was a time when I was eating wheat. There was a time when I was eating rotis, and I only ate rotis. I was not a rice person. Suddenly, for me to become allergic and intolerant to that substance which makes the rotis, And because right now, if you look at the kind of wheat that you get, I remember there was a time when Sihor wheat from Madhya Pradesh.
Sihori.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like mom went to the market, she bought this wheat, she came home, the wheat was cleaned, then it was taken to the chakki, it was ground into flour and brought home and made. Now, one is you get these bags of wheat, two is the Sihori wheat is not Sihori anymore.
Apart from that, it's not bags of wheat that you get bags of ready-made atta.
Yes.
Yeah, the flour comes ready to you.
Yeah.
And you were talking about gluten intolerance.
Yes.
Besides gluten intolerance, genetically modified food has a host of problems that it creates, such as toxicity.
Yes.
Because genetically modified food is inherently unstable. Yes, so it actually messes with your digestion system. Besides causing severe allergic reactions, it has antibiotic resistance. It develops within you antibiotic resistance, not only because it's genetically modified, but also because there are a lot of pesticides and fertilizers used along with that
to grow the food.
So there seems to be a whole conspiracy, Veenaa.
In fact, one of the things, Salim, is when people talk about milk is good for you. Okay. There is a study which has been done many years ago. I'm not able to quantify exact amount of time. That the only animal that continues drinking milk after losing the baby teeth is a human being.
Yes.
Okay. All other animals, once they grow their canines, fine. When we as humans have dogs in the house, because milk is sweet in taste, you offer it to the dog's going to lap it up.
Yes.
Okay. But even cats, cats drink milk. No, the kittens do.
True.
A cat starts eating fish.
Or they'd get terribly sick if you give them milk.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to drink milk. Even dogs are not supposed to drink milk.
No, even humans are not supposed to drink milk.
Even humans are not supposed to drink milk after you have crossed a certain stage, that is, as Veenaa just pointed out, your canines, or with us, our milk teeth.
Yes.
Yeah, and you don't require milk as a food any longer.
No, you don't. And the thing is that the whole milk industry, the dairy industry, is one, extremely cruel towards the production of milk. Two, as you rightly said, is that antibiotics and medicines, growth medicines, are being given to cows in order to increase the capacity of milk that is being delivered.
Yes.
And we human beings who drink that milk are becoming resistant
to antibiotics. There's also immunosuppression disorders that come out of genetically modified foods.
Yes.
Which is another very dangerous thing apart from cancer, which we all know is the biggest scourge that humanity has ever faced in terms of diseases. And one of the primary causes of cancer today is not only genetically modified foods, but the fertilizers and pesticides that are used to produce genetically modified foods. Now, the reason why these fertilizers and pesticides have to be used, because genetically modified seeds cannot be grown without certain kinds of fertilizers and pesticides. They do not have the inherent capacity to resist infections, infestations. So this crop has to be treated with all kinds of chemicals which go into your body and your system and cause what is called cancer.
In fact, what the genetically modified seed has done in various places, it's been seen, is that it actually renders that soil unplantable again.
Yes.
Okay, because it's taken all the nitrogen and oxygen out of that soil.
Yeah.
So when farmers are now planting like a BT cotton or the BT brinjal, what's happening is that soil, once that crop grows, that crop actually depletes the soil of oxygen and nitrogen.
Right.
As a result, that is as virtually barren land. And arid, more than barren, it's arid.
Right.
So for the farmer, then to replant something in that soil, it becomes such a big cost, because now it is a matter of they don't have a choice but replant the BT seed, okay, which is genetically modified.
Yeah.
Then the cost of the fertilizer to help that BT seed grow.
Correct.
Okay, that takes much more water than a normal seed would. And as a result, the farmers are not getting their cost price for what they are actually putting in, like what they call the lagat.
Yes.
So they're not getting their cost price back. The principal amounts are not being recovered. Loans are increasing on the other end. Saukars and banks are after them, and that's how farmer suicides are increasing.
You know, it was in 1994 that genetically modified foods actually got approved by the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration in the US, which allows certain kinds of food to be marketed. So genetically modified foods got the license to get marketed.
Yeah.
And now by 2010, I think, 90% of the corn, the cotton and the soya beans grown in the United States came from genetically modified seeds. Now there is one company that manufactures all these seeds. They have a monopoly. Monsanto. Monsanto also manufactures the fertilizers and the pesticides, which are replete with cancer-causing agents.
But Monsanto has been taken to court. In Europe, a few countries in the European Union which got together and are now Monsanto free.
In fact, I think what is really the worst part of it is the big con that has been actually played upon everybody is, besides manufacturing the seeds, the fertilizers and the pesticides, they also manufacture medication for cancer.
Yes.
So on one hand, they are giving you the disease, selling it to you, and on the other hand, they are giving you the medication for it and also making money there. So you get it, you get the picture now, yeah? So we are in a trap.
So it's like, okay, here's the disease.
Yes.
Oh my God, you got the disease? Don't worry. Here's the medicine.
Yes.
You know, so it just becomes a cycle, and who's making the money at the end of the day? You know, it's this company.
Anyway, going forward and coming to things that matter in food, is homegrown, homemade food, versus processed foods, the food industry. Which makes all these fancy packaged foods, which we also love to snack on, don't we?
But the thing is, you know, Salim, it's what's scary among the processed foods and fast foods is the kind of addiction that you see in children.
Yes.
You know, the McDonald's burgers or the thick shakes and, you know, the kind of stuff that you get in fast food joints. I mean, that stuff is laden with poison.
Laden with poisonous sugar. Sugar is poison. It's one of the 5 poisons that we...
Preservatives.
And preservatives, of course.
Coming back to what you were talking of, which is my all-time favorite thing to do, is home-cooked food and home-grown food.
Yes.
You know, and in fact, there is a percentage of people, there's a number of people right now, Salim, which are going back to that.
Yes.
Who have got kitchen gardens, who've got little balcony gardens, so they're growing some herbs, some vegetables, and, you know, a little something within their garden. And learning how to make certain things at home. You know, like the easy way of making chips.
Right.
You know, or the easy way of making potato chips or making banana chips.
What they call food hacks.
Food hacks.
But before we go on to that, I think I must share a few things with our viewers, which is the other con that is constantly being played on us by the food industry.
Which is?
Which is creating fads and fears and capitalizing on them. So at one point of time, there was John Harvey Kellogg's, a doctor who created the famous Kellogg's cornflakes, So he, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, figured that protein was not good for your body.
Okay.
Protein was the one that caused all the problems. Of course, Americans in those days ate a lot of red meat and potatoes. So he pinpointed everything down to an increased intake of protein, which is why now he decided that we should eliminate proteins and substitute them with carbs. So he had this sanatorium where he invited people. Like you go to a health farm today, so you went to Dr. Kellogg's health farm. And what did you get to eat? Something that he had devised, which was cornflakes, which actually replaced our breakfast with something we call breakfast cereal now, and we consume like there's no tomorrow. So eventually it was found that this elimination of proteins from your diet caused severe other kinds of problems, and it was one of the worst fads and scams of his time, but cornflakes remained, Kellogg's remained. We still buy them in the supermarket, don't we?
Bison were killed, redwood forests were mowed down, and acres of land was cleared so that corn could be planted.
Yes, to feed.
Yeah, to feed these mills that were producing Kellogg's cornflakes.
Yes.
And because then it became an excess, so then food industry started using corn syrup. Okay, in just about anything. So corn syrup was in jams, corn syrup was in biscuits, corn syrup was in muffins. It wasn't just about everything.
It still is.
It still is. So corn, suddenly corn flour, corn syrup, corn this, corn that just became, and the Kellogg's industry went wild. So tracts and tracts of land and the amount of wildlife that was killed just so that they could clean it up and grow corn.
So then suddenly the entire food industry started producing fat-free kind of foods. So you had fat-free French fries. Can you have fat-free French fries?
You know, I can't get over the concept of fat-free French fries. I mean,
Yeah.
potato is fat.
Exactly. But when you read that fat-free on a label which is staring at you in the grocery shop, you're like, I'm really seriously overweight. I need to pick those kind of things up.
It just makes you feel good inside,
But honestly, there's nothing that's really fat-free.
No,
in
there isn't.
So it's a con.
It's a con.
Yeah. Another big con that generally happens that we see is like high protein, low carb kind of foods. Gluten free these days.
Not just gluten free. There's this whole con job that's going on, and it really, as somebody who is, being a celiac, it really pisses me off. Is this whole obsession for the last few years of wheat-based and atta noodles, atta this, atta that, and oats. Soya oats, and everything is wheat. Your biscuits are wheat-based, your cakes are wheat-based, your noodles are bloody wheat-based, your everything is wheat-based. Everything has got wheat in it now.
And apart from that, Veena, the sugar content over there you might see is very minimal. But there are other names to sugar which you will not recognize, which have been added over there as sweeteners because sugar and sweet is very addictive. It's as addictive as cocaine.
Yeah.
Which is why you keep having those, those wafers and French fries and whatever else.
And those ups and downs.
Wonderfully colored packages that you can find in any shop at the corner of the road. Yeah.
In fact, there's some of the colors, the synthetic colors that are used in some of these products, in the biscuits or even in some of the chocolates, are used in paints.
Oh my gosh, that is
chemical poisoning.
That is really chemical poisoning.
It is, because there's some of the colors which they are not supposed to be consumed, but they use it in such a small percentage that nobody catches out on it, and they use the technical name for it.
Exactly.
Nobody says, "Oh, this package contains blue paint." If they said that, you'd never buy it.
That's not what it says. Neither does it say poison in brackets.
No, it says T red 134B. Go figure.
Seriously, there are 5 big lies that this food industry keeps telling us.
Let's hear them.
One of the biggest ones that I have come across is this entire fruit juice thing. How healthy it is to drink fruit juice that comes in those cartons. They don't tell you the kind of sugar that has gone into it, that the vitamins are absolutely missing. They may be there in a very small quantity. Yeah, so that is a big number that's done on us. Have a glass of juice for breakfast.
Yep.
I don't agree with that. I'd rather have the fruit.
Have a fruit.
Yes.
The
second is, of course, all the sodas and colas that are available, where your cola drink is equated to happiness.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you want to be this really happy, cool dude, drink a cola.
Absolutely.
Drink a soda. Now that's far from true. Yeah. In fact, it's sickness that comes out of it and not happiness. You're not supposed to be consuming, according to the World Health Organization, more than 6 teaspoons of sugar in a day, which is actually 23 grams. Yeah, but if you take a bowl of granola in the morning, to that if you add like sweetened curd, you're actually finishing with your entire quota for the day. You've done with 6 teaspoons of sugar, and now you're left at the mercy of the rest of the food that you're going to eat, so it better be sugar free. The other thing is, of course, the biggest myth that exists is that exercise is what shapes your body.
No, it's food.
It's food that shapes your body.
Yes.
It's what you eat. You are
what you eat.
So this entire thing about doing those 100 crunches and you'll get a flat stomach, and if you were going to do this, then you're going to get these wonderful big biceps and everything, is a big lie. Eat right, Eat right.
I'm going to interrupt you here since you said biceps, because you know what brings on those big biceps? It's a form of food, okay?
Yes.
It's the protein shakes which are filled with steroids.
Oh my God, that's another con. You know, you ask anybody who is in the age group of, let's say, 18 to 30 and is at the gym working out their body, the one thing that they all want is the protein powder. If you want to give them a gift, please gift a box of protein powder. That's how far it's gone. As far as food is concerned, it is, we can sum it up in 3 words. Okay? That's good, clean, and just. Food needs to be good, clean, and just. Now, when I say good, food needs to be nutritionally good.
Yes.
Yeah, it has to have nutrition and value to it, not junk. When I say clean, it has to come from clean sources. That is, it should not be washed over with pesticides and made to grow with these chemical fertilizers without which it cannot grow. Yeah, so it needs to be clean. And the third is just. When you say just food, you're giving importance to the person who grows that food. Yeah, you're making sure that he gets adequate remuneration for what he is growing, because you want him to be happy. Yeah, so sometimes you find organic food which is expensive, yeah, because it's grown the right way. Yeah, it doesn't have the supply chains that your other foods come from, so it becomes more expensive for the food grower, the producer, the farmer to produce. But if you are going to pay a little more for it, not only will you be eating healthy, you will also be able to help that farmer to lead a good life, which is what he should be leading, because he's providing you the food.
Because it is a known fact now, scientifically having been proven, Salim, is that an animal which is going to be killed, you know, knows beforehand, and the way it is tied and the way it is yanked down, and you know, its whole life coming towards that last moment, the fear within the animal produces toxicity of very high levels within the muscles.
Yes.
Then the same principle is applied for fruit and vegetables.
Yes.
You know, where fruit and vegetable is grown with kitchen compost.
Right.
You know, and yes, it's an extremely expensive way of agriculture, because everything is limited.
Yeah.
You know, even the growth that you get, the output is limited. How much of, you know, because and they're not using any fertilizer. They're using, the fertilizer is what is produced by the cattle.
The other important thing that I discovered, Veena, is, you know, we're talking about all these problems associated with food, the food industry, global warming, global climate change.
You know, one of the things of global warming, in which they have now found out, which is absolutely, is the percentage of methane that is released in the air is much higher and a bigger contributor than carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide.
Of course.
And one of the reasons of one of the biggest suppliers, if I may use that word, to this methane is cattle.
Yes.
The percentage of cattle that is being consumed, the percentage of meat that is being consumed, especially beef and lamb, has gone up exponentially in the last 20, 30 years.
Exactly.
And so the cattle that is being reared. So I have some food facts as far as meat is concerned, you know, Salim. One is that it takes 75 times more energy to produce meat than corn.
Yes.
You know, an area of vegetation which is 7 times the size of the EU, that's the European Union, to produce food for livestock.
Yeah, that's like, you know how much food is consumed by livestock? 1 billion tons per annum is consumed by livestock, whereas that can feed 3.5 billion people. Just think about it. Yeah, so hunger, which is a huge issue, especially when you're looking at African countries, you're looking at some places in India as well, and all over the world where hunger is a huge issue still. Food is not available to people, but we have 1 billion tons of food grains to feed livestock with.
You know, another thing is that 1 hectare of rice or potato can feed 19 to 22 people.
Exactly.
Okay, and 1 hectare of beef or lamb can feed only 1 or 2 people.
that's so disastrous.
And
when you
which is
think
what
about it.
is actually creating the hunger and the malnutrition, because there's certain things that lead to, I mean, if we're talking about hunger.
Yes.
The thing is that, Salim, it is crazy because when you're speaking, there's enough of food actually in this world to feed people. So where does that food go? You know, that food is not being released.
Yes.
Okay? That food is not being released. It's not going to the people who it should be going to.
Yes.
Currently, as we speak, the percentage of hunger in the world is 12.9%, which means
Which is a staggering figure.
It's a staggering 1 in 7 people.
Yes.
Okay, so there's 7 of us in this room, and 1 of us is without food.
So, what are the solutions? What really can we look at? How do we address this?
You know, one of the things which I also found out on this thing is, on the 1st of July 2019, the government probably had 24.8 million tons of rice and 46.3 million tons of wheat. Okay, which means then extra allocation to drought areas could happily have been made. Okay, this was not done.
Why was it not done?
For various reasons, because from what the article says, it wasn't done is because forms had not been filled out, people had not been identified, Aadhaar card numbers were not tallied. The what they call the PDS system, the public distribution system, is linked to Aadhaar cards. Oh, the multitude of reasons.
So the food grain just rots over there. It gets eaten by rodents.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it doesn't reach the ultimate consumer for whom it's meant for. So there's hunger.
In India, the World Food Foundation, okay, the World Foundation of World Food Foundation, it calculates that 3.2 billion US dollars are needed per year to feed 66 million hungry people all over the world. Okay, it's not like this is some huge amount of money.
Right.
You know, because if you actually break this down country wise, it is not like it's a huge amount of money. But that money is being diverted towards, guess what?
What?
Defense and armament.
So who says we can't do anything about it?
No.
You and me can. Everyone can. It's your decision. I'm not saying go veggie. I'm not saying go vegan. But you can reduce your portions. Yeah, you can reduce the portions of meat that you eat. They say red meat, the carbon footprint of red meat is the highest.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Livestock comes second in the sense that, not livestock actually, but chicken. Yeah, so chicken doesn't create that much of a carbon footprint. Fish is the best.
Yes.
Therefore, what they say, what they recommend, and what the World Health Organization is also recommending is that you follow a Mediterranean diet.
In fact, the Mediterranean diet is something which a lot of people are turning to because it covers nuts, it covers a bit of dairy, which is things like goat milk,
Yes.
cheese, feta cheese.
Yes. Amazing amount of greens.
Lots of greens. It covers a large portion of fish.
Yes.
Okay. What we need to do is consciously reduce our intake, of the meats and livestock.
Correct.
And including a bit of fish. And we need to turn towards little more vegetable, more of nuts and things like that. So that let's try and bring a balance back.
And coming back to what we were initially discussing, Veena, is really, if you look at it, as they say, you should be eating foods that grow around you.
One of the things that I'd like to say, Salim, as we are nearing wrap up, is people who have parties, people who waste food, donate food. And this is, I found an interesting phone number. Okay, so those who have parties or those who have large functions, or even for that matter restaurants or bhandaras,
Right.
if you have excess food, don't throw it away. Okay, so here is this number that you can take down. This is a 24/7 number across India.
Wow.
And when you call them up, they will come to you and they will pick up the food from you. It's called Feeding India. And the number that they have given is 098 711 78810.
I'm going to repeat that for you all. 098 711 78810.
And they're all over. They're 24/7 helpline. So if you call them up and say that you have excess food, the quantity does not matter. Even if you have 10 excess rotis, they will come and pick it up.
So with that, Veena, I think we've had a wonderful session just talking
Yes.
about food and all the things that we can do with ourselves and with food just to make this world a better place, a healthier place, and let's all be fit and fine for 2020, which is going to be coming up very soon in the next 4 or 5 months.
Yes.
So thank you for watching us, and we love being with you again and discussing one of our favorite topics, which is food. And here we are again saying goodbye from The Daily Eye Show.